Hey, everybody. Welcome to A Million Little Podcast. We have the full team assembled now.
Avengers.
The Avengers song.
Avengers little things.
The little sting. Yeah, the little music sting. We have me. I'm Kevin. I'm here with Jamie,
Hi.
as you hear. And we are joined live from Chicago by Dave Miller.
Let's go.
Let's go. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad that we're all together again.
I know we had it was tough scheduling these past couple of weeks. I was out of town a bunch of several different places, just in the Midwest. And then Dave, you're sort of like me in that I'm a comic and you work nights as well. So we both have like night work for the most part.
Absolutely, yeah. Ideally, we all want to do this the Thursday after, but Thursday is also like kind of the start of the weekend, sort of,
right,
for creative people, kind of, So.
Yeah, and then Jamie is big-time morning work.
Yeah, I got to get up stupid early.
Mm-hmm. So we're recording this on Sunday, and this is episode 2.6, A Million Little Things, titled Unleashed.
A.K.A. Truth Hurts. I think.
Yeah, it is. The theme, I think, is very truth versus lies.
Why Maggie great till she gotta be great?
Yeah.
Till she loses Colin.
Oh, man. Yeah, good call. Get the Lizzo in about how much Maggie sucks now. Hold on. Before we get started, this is really what the episode's about. Dave, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. This is this is a technologically new thing.
This sums it up.
Yep. This will sum it up.
Whoa, Miss Lippy. The part of the story I don't like is that the little boy gave up looking for Happy after an hour. He didn't put posters up or anything. He just sat on the porch like a goon and waited. That little boy's got to think. You got a pet. You got a responsibility. If your dog is lost, you don't look for an hour and then call it quits. You get your ass out there and you find that fucking dog.
You don't get on the phone with Eric and let Colin just figure out his own way up to the apartment.
No.
You keep your eye on that fucking dog.
Yes, he is. That is the kid. Maggie is the kid from Billy Madison. Dave, were you able to hear that at all?
I was not, unfortunately.
Okay, we're experimenting with new things. We just played the Adam Sandler clip from Billy Madison where he's telling Miss Lippy, you gotta get out there and find that fucking dog.
Kevin and I both thought of that immediately when Maggie was fucking up with the dog.
Yeah, man. Maggie playing the heel in this. Follow us, by the way, if I didn't say this already, follow us at A Million Little Podcast on Instagram, at A Million Podcast on Twitter. I believe that's us on Twitter. How do I not know what we are on Twitter? Yeah, A Million Podcast. I'm right. It just always sounds
confusing.
Weird.
Yeah.
Dave, where do you want to start with this?
I mean, you know what? Let's be different.
Okay.
Let's be different and start with Andrew. I literally have in my notes, I don't think Andrew has a dead wife.
Oh.
Do you want to start there? Do you want to?
Sure, you called it.
Sure. I mean, this is a little bit of the I think, as Jamie said, truth hurts. That is a big theme of the show. And this is almost everybody has a lie or a piece of truth in this episode and wrestles over it, and seems like they will continue to going into the next episode, except for Gary and Maggie. That's not really about lies and truth between them. That's a different issue. So,
there's the poster thing at the end, but that's small.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Dave, Andrew, me.
Yeah, I said in my notes, I don't think Andrew has a dead wife, and then of course he admits that his wife Deborah did not die, and then we get more camera trickery, as I like to call it.
Right.
So, guys, is she, like, in intensive care? She had a stroke.
Yeah.
But because it went by kind of fast. Like, the scene was only, like, 20 seconds. He brings flowers to this hospital room. Is, like, his wife in intensive care after a stroke?
Yeah, I think she went into a coma. Because he said she had a stroke in the night, basically. Like, she didn't feel well. They went to sleep. She never woke up. But wasn't dead.
She doesn't look bad, to be honest with you. No, I'm being serious.
Oh, I know.
Dave's like, I would.
Yeah, I still. She's keeping it together in post stroke. They're taking good care of her.
She does look too good for someone who's been in a coma for 3 years. But yeah, so it seems like she's in a coma, and then at first they were like, she's gone, you lost her. And then he says one doctor said that there's a 1% chance that she could wake up, which sounds like one doctor was just, I don't know, trying to be nice or something.
It sounds like one doctor was not really doing his job.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, I guess we're keeping her alive forever then. And I'm going to keep hope alive that she'll actually wake up. And it's like, which, I mean, you know, I get it. But
He's
also
still a
it's
liar.
like,
What's that?
He's still a liar.
Yeah, that's true. He still did lie. He lied about this, and it is weird.
it's a big one. That's a big one because it's not like something that happened. It's a thing that's still actively happening.
Yeah.
Like, he's still visiting that wife. He still wants that wife to wake up. He still wants to be with her. And yet is also sort of like, I sort of want to be Delilah's boyfriend. Like, woof.
Which is complicated but understandable.
It is understandable. But it is like, I think it's a little crazier that he hasn't managed to tell her that by now. Right away, I get it, because you first meet someone and it's like easier to just be like, I got a dead wife, you get it. Like, whatever. But that's like, but it's, I mean... but it makes it a lot harder later to be like, now when I said she's dead, like slight amendment.
Right.
To that.
I mean, she's dead to me, kind of, but not actually. Also, do you want to go there right now? Do you want? Because is that part of the camera trickery, Dave? Because I wasn't sure. Is she really?
I think she really went to the hospital. Delilah did.
Okay.
Which I was like,
Kevin, that's another great question. Yeah, I think she did go because if I remember correctly, there was, like, not narration over it, but, yeah.
there was.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was a flashback, but then Delilah was there, and I was like, oh, okay. This is now, I guess.
Jamie, if I'm in a coma, don't take your boyfriend to see me.
No! The whole time I was thinking about the hot coma lady. I was like, this is not cool for her. Do not bring your girlfriend here. Same. Don't bring your girlfriend to my coma bed either.
Okay.
I don't like him. I do not like Andrew.
See, this is I love that, and yeah, I think I overall don't like Andrew. I almost had more sympathy than I think maybe I should for this lie going in, because I'm like, I understand not wanting to talk to people about it, but then I have less sympathy when you think back, and it felt like a hit-on move when he originally dropped that his wife was dead. Like, it
Right.
felt like that was with an angle. That wasn't just to not... You know.
I for sure have sympathy about it in general, but yes, there's parts of the specific way Andrew has acted that's just like, man, I can't get a handle on whether you're definitely a big creep or just kind of weird. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. And he and Delilah basically, because Delilah is obviously deals with more towards the end of the episode. It's skipping a little to the end, but the lies that she's telling her children to try to keep everything as okay as possible in a very not quote unquote okay situation. But basically, I think, is it Andrew that says lying is the only way I can make it through the day?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, but basically he and Delilah exchange saying almost exactly the same thing. They basically share that sentiment, you know, and that comes about for her because she basically sort of lie by omission during her podcast thing, which I will say that podcast studio a little fancier than the one we're broadcasting out of.
Yeah, it was an extremely fancy studio that they were trying to make feel sort of like homey, but just ends up looking like a really nice, like, I don't know, like computer area at a hotel or something, you know? Where you can charge your stuff.
I was expecting Barbara Walters as like a star.
Yeah, totally. They could have done that. Have like some high profile ABC person doing the podcast. It's like, this is hosted by Kelly Ripa. Now tell me about suicide. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. It was very weird to be like, we start off the episode and Delilah's nervous about the podcast she's doing about, you know, dealing with life after suicide. And it's like, whose podcast is this? Is this national? Is this your friends? How did they find you? Do you know people that do podcasts? I'm like, I need to let this all go because I had too many technical questions about how Delilah ends up on a podcast.
Yeah.
About a thing that is like surrounded by secrets at this point. It's like, you know, there's a lot of shit about this situation that you don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
But, you know, and yes, when the lady asks if John knew he was going to be a dad again, Delilah understandably freaks out a little bit and ends up sobbing.
Yeah.
Which it's like, because it's like, it's a sad thing to ask if it was John's baby. So it's like, that's sad, and then thinking about what he knew or what he didn't know, and then it's like, it's not actually his baby. It's like, yeah, that's that'll get you in a weird place emotionally.
As someone who has done a lot of podcasts, and a lot of radio appearances, a lot of onstage time, specifically like several hundred podcasts, there have been things that have come up, and I've been in a trap like that. I think I can't even think of specific ones, but I know the feeling where it's like, well, I could tell the truth here, but then but then people listening to it would hear it like this way instead of me telling them. I feel like there have been times when I've been on
like the person the thing involves,
yeah,
like the person in your life.
Right. And
would hear it as an audience member instead of to their face.
Sure. Even just there's been times where we're like, my mom might listen to this. So it's like, I could be honest about this, but this is one I'd rather tell in person. So it's, yeah, when you're just being in public like that, then in that way, as we are right now, that can get tricky with the truth and the lies and all that stuff. So Dave, is there anything else Andrew-centric you wanted to say?
Just checking my notes. We covered it. I'm like, so she is in intensive care. No, I think Kevin, either you or Jamie said it from the beginning, using the dead wife thing as a hit-on move.
Yeah, right.
I just didn't like it from the get-go.
Yeah.
You're right. He used it like as a hit-on move, I felt like. And the first time we saw him in the episode last season, I just felt like he used it as a hit-on move.
He did, because it didn't seem like just a way to avoid talking about something in the first episode. It seemed like, well, here's something dark and tragic about me that also makes me available to bone if you're into it, you know? So I do have sympathy for him now, but I feel like it would be slightly disingenuous for him to say that that's only the reason why he says that his wife is dead.
It does make me wonder if in the first time he appeared, if writing wise, the writers knew that he was going to have a coma wife, or if that came up later.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's a fair question. And basically, Delilah, as we said, basically goes spinning a little bit off that podcast omission, and it makes it. I think if there's lies, or even not lies, but secrets from your past, I think it's easy. It's easy to feel like, oh, I got away from it. Oh, it's deeper in my past, and that's gone. And then you can be surprised by it later. Like, oh, I'm never like. It's hard to actually get away from a secret in your life. I think is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It seems like that's sort of what happens to Delilah here, where she keeps kind of being like, actually life is fine and okay. And then it's like, oh no, this keeps getting me.
I can't remember if they decided at some point that like maybe they would tell the kids that it's not John's baby at some point. Was that a thing? Or have they decided that they'll be able to keep this secret forever? It's both dumb. It's dumb either way. But
right, because just too many people know for the secret to
I know.
Stay.
It's like, because at this point, it's sort of like, I mean, skipping to the end a little bit, Delilah's talking to Catherine at the end and gives Catherine, John left her his scotch set from his office, and they're having a little gal chat at home, which is going fine for the most part. And then Catherine, basically lets Delilah know that she thinks that it would be best to let everybody know the secret. And Delilah's like, ew. And it's like, man, I don't know. This should just be a good opportunity to, like, rip the Band-Aid off, because it's going to come out. Mm-hmm. You know it is.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Well, and that's the thing. Like, 10 years from now, oh, Dad would be so proud. Like, it's just... The most mundane things when baby Charlie does something when she's like 10 or whatever. Oh, Dad would be so proud. Like, it's not the right dad.
Yeah. Also, there are things that you should know biologically about yourself and who your parents are. So that's a thing where, would you just tell Charlie at some point down when she's 18 and be like, here's the thing, maybe don't tell your siblings, but your uncle's your dad. And I used to hook up with him kind of on the regular for a while, but now, yeah.
And, heart disease runs in his family, not ours, so you should look out for that. That's all. Just, put it in your medical records anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so should we talk Catherine next? Is that walking us into that?
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good transition.
All right, what you got on Catherine, Dave? What you feeling?
Well, the last note I had was her quote, "I'm starting to think that we should tell the kids the truth." I mean, yeah, we just touched on that. It's like, yeah, like Jamie said, like to kind of rip the Band-Aid off. I mean, things can only get worse from this point.
Yeah. You see,
and Catherine is like, as she's right and she's being very logical at the same time that she's sort of developing this watching the world burn attitude.
Yeah,
where she's she's just like, you know what? Fuck it. Mm-hmm. she everyone's rallying around the dog, and she takes over for Eddie babysitting his and Delilah's kid all day, and is very nice to the kid. There is a scene where she's walking into the room where it does look like she's going to smother Charlie just for 1 sec, and she's like, you know what, we're cool, we didn't do anything wrong, let's hang out. They go to the park. A mom is like, nice baby, and she's just like, actually, like, my husband fucked another lady, and that's this baby, and we're friends, and it's stupid. Mm-hmm. And that lady runs away, and Catherine loves it. Catherine loves the power of freaking someone out on her terms.
Strangers can be, that's a good way to test out telling the hard truth, too.
Yeah.
You tell you what, you have a dark secret, tell an Uber driver. Like,
workshop it.
Yeah, exactly. Try it out. Take it for a test run.
Exactly.
But yeah, it begins with Catherine. We see her sort of, she's talking to Theo. Theo does a little bit of the expose there, where he's basically like, oh, Dad is hanging out with baby Charlie because baby Charlie doesn't have a dad, and Catherine's like, yeah, whatever. That's
also, I thought Dad didn't
it.
like babies because you guys said you didn't want to have another baby, and it's like, just Theo, you got to shut up about that stuff.
Dave is the only one of the three of us who was the closing baby in his family, the baby that ended the run of babies, the youngest.
I was a nice surprise.
You were a wonderful surprise. So, for Dave, when you were born, it was were you as a kid? Did you ever feel like I want another younger sibling?
No. So I don't remember anything until I was like 3 years old. I think that's sort of normal.
Yeah,
right?
Same. Yeah.
Yes. No, I knew I just had all older siblings, so I guess I knew another baby wasn't coming. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
My dad was 41 when he had me, so
right.
I just assumed that it was over,
Yeah, it's funny to just imagine reasonable baby 3-year-old Dave being like, clearly this is done, Yeah. But then Catherine's like sort of looking at her engagement ring, and she's sort of getting back to good and back to normal with Eddie, to the point where she calls him at work to have sort of flirty sex talk, where she says, you guess who I bumped into? Those tightwad people who own a house, and we fucked in their closet, basically.
I know, she has a really fun little thing. She's on the phone with her husband. She's like, I just wanted to tell them we had sex in your closet. And Eddie completely ignores that and is just like, there's a dog missing. And it's like, man, I love dogs, but Eddie, you should have taken about 5 seconds to be like, damn, girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, would have been nice to have. I wrote that this is overall Eddie not a wiener episode. # not a wiener. Eddie was a pretty good dude.
I think overall, yes, he had a couple moments, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
also, is he doing music ever again or no?
Yeah, apparently with Sophie.
He's playing Theo's birthday party.
Yeah, one of the Red Ferns is playing Theo's birthday party. Yeah, one of the members of a band named after a sad dog book in a could-have-been sad dog episode. Thankfully, was not super sad.
No.
Spoiler at the end of it. So the main unifying premise of this show that sets everything into motion today is that Colin the dog gets lost, and the friends come together to try to find Colin. Mm-hmm. So Eddie, Catherine's trying to be fun and flirty, and Eddie's like, I can't talk. As you know, I'm watching my love child with that other lady, and also the dog is lost. And she's very cool about that. And then, as we said, she gets sort of progressively cooler throughout the episode and says, like, you know what, I'll watch the kid. I'll watch your love child with this other person. And then gets very, like, Yeah, as Jamie said, I think watching the world burn is a good vibe for what Catherine goes through. She's
Yeah.
like, fuck it, my life is what it is, and everyone can deal with that now. You know?
It is what it is. But also, like, very reasonably points out to Delilah at the end. She's saying that, like, she couldn't drink around Eddie when he was getting sober, so she would drink with John sometimes at his office after work, and they would hang out, which is nice. That's why he left her the scotch set, and she says, you know, one of the reasons John isn't here is that he didn't feel like he could be himself around anybody. He thought he should keep all his secrets to himself. Now he did, so she's like, I don't know, maybe we should just let this secret go and, like, tell everybody about the baby. Probably the best idea. This can only compound. Is it uncomfortable now? Well, it's only going to get uncomfortable for everybody.
Yeah. It's tough when you
She said it like that because she was drunk.
It's tough when you have a secret like that because it's not a secret that just affects you. It's tough to, like, be in a place where you have to negotiate whether to keep something buried forever or to let it out.
Yeah, that's a lot. And then Catherine does not, well, we see from the preview, is not all about it. Her face is not all about it there, but she doesn't give a definitive answer. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Or that Delilah is not.
Delilah.
Yeah, Delilah's not into the, she is not coming around to the idea of telling that truth. It doesn't seem like.
No.
Also, guys, I feel like these scripts have been written 4 years in advance. Like, they have to, like, know what's going to happen in the next, like, several months. Like, the way these secrets and mysteries are, these scripts have to have already been written, like,
You feel like it's a intricately designed web that you feel like the structure is tight.
They just have to be, yeah.
Yeah. I really did like the diving into the truth and lies aspects of everything in this episode because obviously they're all dealing with that, and then God, even Sophie and PJ. First, whenever I want to say the kid who plays PJ, I think is pretty decent. But also, anytime I see PJ show up on this show, I'm like, can we not?
Yeah, every time I see PJ in the episode preview, I'm like, well, it's going to be a PJ, not a Danny episode, because apparently it can't be both.
No, great point. I agree, yeah. Never in the same episode.
Yeah, and
no offense, PJ, but you know what I prefer.
Jamie's Team Danny, leader of the pack on that team. Yeah, and he comes in, and basically he gets sucked into, it is almost like cartoon Scooby-Doo-esque, where every episode the whole gang gets together on like one thing to go do.
I know.
It's like there's no more like separate people living separate lives. They do it within the within the larger scope of things, but it is like every episode has all 8 people in the same place several times.
Yes, this one more than a lot of them. They're very intertwined this time. And it just spoiler for the end, like Gary gives a big speech about realizing what great friends he has. And it's like, man, this does happen every week, right? Every week we realize what great friends we have.
I guess that's why they're good friends.
When we're all in the same room, it's not bad.
Yeah.
But it is just like, it must be hard rewriting that speech every week to be slightly different.
I'll knock out the Sophie PJ thing, and then we'll get to the full-on dog chase, basically. But so Sophie and PJ, they look at each other immediately. They're roughly the same age, so it's like, all right, that's a love interest now. But the thing is, PJ, you can't be holding that girl's hand if you think your dad is your dad, because that's your sister then.
Yeah, I don't know what PJ's angle is. Like, I get how he would want to be close to Sophie if he thinks that's his sister, but the holding hands is like, well, now, bruh, that's not... that's not cool.
Between that and Maggie Hart guy, it's like, is everyone going to fuck kind of a sibling on this show? What is...
What the heck is happening?
Well, so PJ's dad was like, oh, is that your girlfriend? Meaning, at some point, he had mentioned he had a girlfriend, which is a lie, but based on how he acted, so... it's just, there's a lot of lying.
That's a good point. I did like the candy detail. I thought that was a good familial detail, the thing you do with your dad where you would eat one half of the good and plenties, the one color, and then the dad eats the whites and she eats the pinks. I thought they were purple, but they could be pinks. And then at the end, it's like, I just wrote down, it made me laugh. I mean, obviously it was her doing a sweet thing, but she was like, I ate half of these if you want the other half, and gives the other half of the good and plenties to PJ. And I'm like, I just wrote down, you're my dad now. Like,
I know.
Basically, that's a dad thing.
Yeah, I know. It reinforces the family thing, because it's like, I feel like I'm related to you. Anyway, here's my phone number. It's like, oh, man, we got to get this worked out.
Got to figure it out.
What the fudge?
Shakespearean.
Also, PJ's he's showing his art to Rome at the beginning of the episode. Rome saying it's great, you'll get into an art school for sure. So it's like, at some point, we're probably going to find John's friend's great sketches somewhere, right? The friend who's probably actually PJ's dad.
Oh, yeah.
Clayton guy, 9/11 guy.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, guys, like, so I totally get how, John left money for, what's-her-face, Barbara Morgan.
Sure.
But, yeah, we're still on board with the best friend being the dad, correct? I mean, there's a chance that it could be John, but are we collectively on board with the friend still being the dad?
I think so.
I think
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the dad is 9/11 guy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dad is Rudy Giuliani.
Twist.
I think so. I think that would be, John being that dad too would just be like, that's too many.
Too much.
Yeah, I think that's too many weird dads. I think. Which would be, I think that was a sitcom in the 90s on ABC. So
too many weird dads.
TGIF lineup. Yeah, before Step by Step, after Family Matters. Yeah. So, all right, should we get to the dog?
Yes.
I mean, so much of the episode revolves around that. I think we should, at least open into that.
Yep. Oh, yeah. The only other thing was, it was weird when Maggie meets PJ in the group of friends, but Maggie already knows PJ because she is giving him therapy, and she has to say, nice to meet you. And it's just, that's a weird thing therapists have to do from time to time, which is kind of crazy.
That they have to just not know someone they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either ignore them if you see them in a public space, or if you somehow were introduced in this extremely weird situation, you just have to be like, nice to meet you. And like kind of lie about it, which is nuts.
Sure. I mean, so it's interesting that a therapist, it's not really secret keeping, but it's just not gossiping really. But a therapist's life is you talk to people and you hear about their lives and their stories, and that stays there, so it's not really secret keeping, but it's kind of a cousin of it, I guess, yeah.
For sure.
All-time favorite therapist in movies or TV? Can you guys think? Basically, I mean, I gotta go Sopranos, Dr. Melfi.
RuPaul was the school counselor in the Brady Bunch movie and tells Jan that she better work.
That's a great answer. Thank
you.
Oh, man. And I did not know that RuPaul was played that.
Yeah, cameo.
God, you better work. Good advice, therapist.
It is.
I don't know.
RuPaul is my therapist, just
just
mainline episodes of Drag Race.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite TV or movie therapist, Dave?
I was going to go Jane Lynch, Charlie's therapist in 2.5 Men.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a what a varied list of therapists we have. I'll tell you who's not. Maggie, because she fucking loses dogs. That is not my favorite therapist right there. I'm a big dog mark. That's something, if you know me at all, that's something you know about me. I cannot watch things where bad things happen to a dog. I did not think they were going to kill Colin. I thought I had more faith in them than that.
I felt pretty good about them not killing Colin, yeah.
Yeah, and if they did kill Colin, he would have had to go to John's office and jump, in the same way.
He leaves a note about how much he hates living with Maggie, and then just ends it.
Yeah. It's just in, dog crayon handwriting that's just like, seriously, what is the fucking deal with your brother Hart guy? So basically, Maggie and Gary are walking up to their house, And not to plug my other TV podcast again, but Sex and the Cityots that I do with John Daly at Sex and the Cityots, where we're just watching all the episodes of that show. This is very reminiscent of an episode I watched recently where Carrie Bradshaw is, she's cheating on her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then she sees the guy she's cheating with, Mr. Big, and she's walking her boyfriend's dog and then just lets the leash go and the dog runs away. Maggie here is Gary goes upstairs and then her fake brother, fake boyfriend guy, she gets a call from him and then just like lets the leash go and totally doesn't give a shit about anything else. It's a very similar scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she on purpose takes the leash off the dog and then just stops paying attention to where he's going.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That is selfish.
Not cool.
That is borderline sociopathic to me. I
really thought from the previews that something would happen because it's a big dog. I thought something would happen where she was walking him and, like, you know, he chases another dog or a truck scares him or something. And he just, like jets and she can't hold him because he's gigantic.
Right. That would make sense.
And that's a true mistake that it's like, obviously, if your dog ran away, you could maybe just be mad at the person that let him go. But ultimately, it's not really their fault.
Mm-hmm.
This, however, was actually her fault. She super dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, and in a very specific way with where it's this guy she's obsessed with, you know.
Yeah, uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. So basically, this is what leads to getting everybody back together. All the friends are like, you know, Avengers Assemble, as we said before, where it's like, there's a dog lost. We all got to get there. And I get it, and that's true, but also looking for a dog in a big city, it's impossible, kind of.
Yeah, I don't even know what you would do.
Right. Unless you know he's got favorite spots, whatever. And I grew up with a couple of dogs at different times. We thought we lost my dog Shannon when I was 8 years old. We just couldn't find her anywhere, and it made no sense. And we couldn't find her for a whole day. It's one of the worst days of my life. And then we heard her barking, and she had just gotten in the closet. She was scared of storms, and there was thunder. She went in the closet. She jumped behind some boxes and couldn't get out.
Crazy.
So I feel like if the dog is not gone, the dog is usually just like, it's like losing your cell phone. It's like under a couch cushion somewhere. It's just somewhere weird, but in your vicinity, you know?
Yes.
They should have the first 48 for lost dogs. Because I think you got to find the dog pretty quick, otherwise you're not going to, right? And so that is what all the friends come together to help with here. And Maggie is like, someone should stay home. And Gary's like, yeah, that makes sense.
She's like, unless you want me to come with you. He's like, nah, you stay. Like, oh, well.
So in terms of the Eric thing, it's like, first of all, I have written down, what is he doing in our life? That's a quote from Gary. I put down my guy in capital.
100%.
She is hiding it from him. The problem is, you guys, the writers, like, they make it so that, yes, she is hiding it from Gary, but at the same time, like, it doesn't there's not a chance where it comes up in conversation what we're watching on screen. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, if they're laying in bed or something, like, it would organically come up. It's just like, I don't know.
She's kind of...
right. Huh?
Yeah, are you saying, like, she's kind of... They're leaving kind of a benefit of the doubt for why she's not telling, kind of?
Yes, that's the thing. So, but like, she definitely is hiding it from him. But at the same time, it's not, there's not a chance for it to come up in conversations based on what we're watching. But then I also, after that, I have Eric calling again, ! He is calling way too much. But last time he calls, he does apologize. So it's like, is Eric a bad guy? Maybe not, but like, why is he calling so much?
Why is he
calling so much?
Agreed. I don't think. Why is he calling so much? And also, he like comes by in person to slide the sheet music. You heard of a PDF, my dude? Fucking email it. This is you do not need to do this. And you writing down why is he the Gary quote? Why is he in our lives? My guy, because we were saying that 3 episodes ago, like, it is a quirk that you have your dead brother's heart in you. You're not friends now. There's nothing that should bring you together. And especially, even if like for one day you meet and maybe it's like we check in once a year on the anniversary or something. Okay, but not like, okay, so I guess I'm wherever your mom or you want me to be now. You're my whole life. Because like, it's fucked up.
Yeah, it's more fucked up for Eric. By the end of this episode, I think I'm more on the side of I don't think he's evil or anything. I think he's just like messed up, and then he just found someone to talk to, and he got sort of obsessed with his family because they want him so bad.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know, I guess, it feels good if someone likes you, and they like him for fucked up reasons, but they like him because of he's got that heart in him. But yes, this normally should be the kind of thing where like once a year for like a heartwarming Today Show special, you get together and you have lunch and you talk about things, and that's about it because you don't have anything in common otherwise.
Nope, and I do sort of get him maybe feeling weirdly but understandably obligated to these people, where their brother passed away, he has their heart, so he's trying to make the space for them that they want.
That's
but
true.
I do think when Gary also, when the shit really hits the fan and he says like, after he says like, why is he in our life, and then says like, watching your mom try to replace your brother with a total stranger I thought was the most pathetic thing I'd ever seen, so I saw you try to copy her and do the same thing. Sounds harsh, but also I'm like, 100% yes, it is fucking psychotic that you're doing this. And she's like, well, you also think psychics aren't real, and it's like, you're not helping your case here, lady. It's just like,
different shit.
It's different shit, and it's also harsh of Gary to say, but it's sometimes truth hurts. And play the Lizzo song because it's sometimes when truth sounds really harsh, it's because the truth is really stupid or bad. He's naming facts, and that sounds mean because what you're doing is so crazy. Mm-hmm. So it sounds unfair or like a cheap shot for him to say, but no, this is you. Like, you are obsessed with this guy, and you're bringing him into Gary's life. And of course, he was on the phone. That's why you lost the dog.
You're doing this crazy thing, and I've tried to bring it up in a nice way, but that hasn't worked. So,
yeah. And then I do like, so after I was going to go to basically the friends picking up on the issues between him and Maggie. Does anyone have anything they wanted to throw in before I got to that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, basically, I love that when Maggie was like, I'll stay here unless you want me to come along with, someone should stay there, so it's not that big a deal.
Right.
But all the friends were like, whoa, is everything, like, and he was like, is everything okay with you and Maggie? And it's like, and then he said, did she have something to do with the dog going missing? It's like, well, fuck, man. I mean, either Gary did or she did, right? Like, that's not a big leap.
Yes, Colin didn't actually leave a note.
Yeah, he didn't leave a note and work the doorknob like a raptor from Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Clever girl, Colin.
Yeah, everyone's figuring it out. And Gary ends up having a bunch of heart-to-hearts in the car with Eddie because they're driving around together. Mm-hmm. And at some point, basically, Gary tells Eddie he's afraid that he's also losing Maggie because, somebody said that he wanted to save her because he couldn't save John. Now she doesn't need saving, so what is my purpose with Maggie now? What do I do? And Eddie says, which is not bad advice, it just sounds a little wienery coming from Eddie, is that it's never too late to redefine your relationship. Like he redefined his relationship with Delilah to being her baby daddy.
Yeah, they used to just be friends, and then they were doing an affair, and now it's just baby daddy stuff. Uh-huh. But yeah, I think I thought I circled that as a line, that it's the never too late to redefine your relationship, both with your significant other or friends, right? Like, I think that's a good thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Agree, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, because Dave and I have been friends. Dave is... I mean, really, in terms of people I actually speak to, Dave is my oldest friend now,
25 years, I think.
25 years.
Dang.
Like,
That's scary.
What's that?
That's scary.
It's very scary, from middle school to now. Like I said, when I met Dave in middle school, he was wearing a Barry Sanders jersey over his shirt basically every day. And we are recording this right before the Lions game that Dave's checking out. Go Lions. I'll root for the Lions whenever it's not Bears on behalf of Dave. But, I mean, like, through 25 years of friendship, it's like, I feel like Dave and I have weirdly stayed very similar people to each other. But there have been times when we hang out a lot more than, or like, you know, there have been times where we've gone like a couple months without talking and then, you know, come back together a bunch, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like that. I think that happens with every friendship. And so that's kind of nice. And then at the end, like, Gary also gives him shit about, like, they're hugging, and he's like, I would like to try to remain the one friend that you have not had sex with in this friend group, which that's
yeah.
good.
Gary, when they, spoiler alert, find the dog at the end, which you know they will, he's all of a sudden he's in a good mood, and he kind of gets like an entire episode's worth of jokes in like 90 seconds.
Yeah,
he gets a little bit manic at the end,
Yeah.
which you would. You're excited. You found your dog, so there you go.
Mm-hmm. And they do find the dog, which is very nice. They think they find the dog at one point. Also, there's a scene with a police officer.
Yes, when he's with Eddie in the car and Gary's flipping out and wants to get past a garbage truck and then floors it, blows past a stop sign, and then Eddie's like, dude, you need to lock this up. And they get pulled over by a nice policeman, and it's a very white people pulling over situation where,
Right.
where they're
very
like,
white on white pullover.
officer, we're missing a dog. And the officer says, oh my God.
Yep.
Drive safe out there,
No
kids.
problem,
Bye.
buddy. My bad. Yeah.
Peace out.
I do want to say big ups to this police officer for the show that's set in Boston, being the first character who's ever had a Boston accent.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's right. I know it seems like a weird character actor to show up all of a sudden. It's like, no, that's what everyone's supposed to.
Yeah,
sound
this is
like.
actually what people there sound like.
This cop did his research. The show's in Boston. I'm showing up with an accent. God damn it.
I think we've seen one of Delilah's parents, right? So we've literally seen more French accents in Boston than we've seen Boston accents. Cool. But this is apparently, I think DJ Nash said this is based on a story, like the day they had to put their dog down, like they got pulled over and the officer let them off. So
That's nice. It is a relatively good odds that if you say that you're in a rush because something may have happened to an animal that you love, you know. In general, the person pulling you over should have a smidgen of sympathy for
You'd
that.
hope. They don't always, but yeah, you'd hope this guy did. So that was...
Or not even cop, you know, like if you forgot to pay for your drink at Starbucks or something. That's a bad example, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I
Like-
just lost my dog, I'm freaking out. People would be like, I get it.
Give you the benefit of the doubt on a day. So Eddie talks about putting up posters. They go to see what they think might be Colin at a shelter. It's not. And as Eddie's talking about putting up lost dog posters, he finds a lost dog poster about Colin.
Yeah.
So we know that Colin is actually another family lost Colin. And
A year ago.
So that's tough. And then that's a real big question about do you tell him or not?
And he almost does.
Another thing where it's like lie or truth, and there's a good case to be made for both.
And he's struggling with it, and he doesn't want to tell him, but he's about to. And then we get the news that Colin was found, and then Eddie bails on telling.
Yeah. What would you guys do in that scenario?
I was going to ask you guys too. I mean, I'm sorry, you guys. I mean, that's Gary's dog.
Yeah, I think this is what I think. I think in a world of toss-ups, it's kind of unfair, but you have to side with your best friend. But I think the ultimate thing is this kind of has to be a shared custody situation.
Yeah.
You know?
With the other family?
Yeah.
How's that going to work?
I don't know.
That's impossible.
But I'm saying I think that's the fairest thing. I'm not saying it's, how do you pull it off? I don't know.
Oh, sure, if it was possible.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But it's like, the family is going to either want, I'm sure it'd be like, that's our dog, you dingbat. But then you could be like, I found your dog, you lost it. What did you got a family full of Maggies over there? How'd you lose this dog?
It's a giant dog. How do you lose track of this thing?
Yeah, it's 150 pounds. Yeah, you lost a human. I don't know. So what would you do, Jamie?
Oh, my God. I don't know. Maybe I would not tell. The fact that it had been a year, I would would consider the fact that whoever lost them at this point has probably assumed that they're not going to find that dog. they have, if
Yeah.
not moved on, they've just maybe sort of accepted that. So it's like, if that's the tiebreaker, maybe I would just be like, oh, maybe I didn't find that.
Right.
Or I would tell and be like, I don't think we need to return this dog.
Right.
I support you if you want to just keep him.
Yeah. What's what I'm sorry, did you say what your move would be, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, because
You said Gary's dog, right?
Because it's been a year. I mean, that's Gary's dog.
I know. And it's like Gary's our friend since he's the one on the show, so we
I
don't
know.
slant that way. But but it's tough. I would have a tough time not letting the people know that your dog is okay.
That's the thing. I know. I was almost just like, could you like write them a ransom note?
Right.
But in a way that is just like untraceable, but is like, your dog is happy and good, but you can't have him back.
Because you lost him and you shouldn't do that.
Finders keepers, sorry, bye.
Yeah. Don't lose your dogs, I think is it's a good idea.
Yeah,
and
it would be hard to not be like, ugh, I just want to tell him he's cool.
It's tragic to lose your dog, by the way. Like, I have massive sympathy for anyone who has, but it's like, I do think that's kind of a thing where if you do lose your dog, it sucks, but if someone else finds him and doesn't lose him and takes care of him or her, then it's like, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of that might be the way of the world a little bit. You gotta keep track of this stuff. You're responsible for it. And I did write down because they find the dog. He went to the trash room to go eat some trash, which is great. Shout out my brother Joe's dog Cooper, who would do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, except there wouldn't be any trash bags left when you got down there.
Yeah, he would be the size of one of the dumpsters. He would have eaten all the trash. God bless him. Happy birthday, Cooper. It was my brother Joe's dog's B-day recently. But so they all come together. PJ is the one who sort of hears the barking as he's throwing away the remainder of the Good and Plenty's. I think that's the candy, right? Was it Good and Plenty?
That's it.
We just passed Halloween. Favorite Halloween candy? Go around the room.
Oh, man.
Skittles. Fun size pack.
Skittles. Good call.
Probably Snickers all time, but boy, it's a lot of way tie for second.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big Three Musketeers guy. So this podcast is brought to you by none of those. But I did write down at the end, Maggie, how does it feel to be Gary's worst friend? Because everyone else is better to Gary than Maggie at this moment.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
You're right.
Well, then he, now that he's got his dog back and he gives a big speech about friendship and everybody leaves and it's just him and Maggie, he basically says he's sorry about what he said and everything's going to be fine and we're going to work it out. And then she says everything's not going to be fine, which, you think is going to be like, oh, I'm going to go fucking make out with my brother's heart guy or something. But she's just like, another family. It's like Colin belongs to somebody else. Is the last thing. It's like, what the fuck? And I still don't understand how she found out. Because she said Eddie found this poster. So it's like, did Eddie tell her?
I think so. I think Eddie told her to be like, what do you think we should do?
Yeah.
So,
Which is like, it's not even the wrong thing to do.
No,
but
I get
it is just like, yeah, I don't know. It sucked.
Yeah, it did suck. The only other thing I had written down where, obviously a lot of this came about because of Maggie doing the wrong stuff, and then Heart Guy comes over and they're hanging out and talking, and he's like, you lost him, but people make mistakes. You got to let yourself off the hook for this one, and, they make mistakes even when they have the best of intentions. She didn't have the best of intentions.
Yeah.
And
she
you shouldn't
eventually forgive herself, but you know what? You can feel bad about it today.
If you lose my dog, get lost. I'm not into, I'm sorry. She also says, I'm sorry I lost your dog, but don't lose me too. It's like, fuck you, keep walking.
That was weird. You
can't power play from this position.
That's something someone else would say about Maggie. Maggie don't say that about me.
No, because that's not really being sorry.
No, that's like, yes, that's...
Just bring Christina Ochoa back, have Gary date her, it's all fun.
Yeah, where's Christina Ochoa? Bring her back from Europe, for Christ's sake. We miss her. If she shows up in an episode, I assume there's a good chance she's just gone, but if she does show up in an episode, I would love to be there for Dave's Pop. And actually, Dave, I don't know what you're doing this Thursday, but I'm going to be in Chicago for a day if we wanted to record from your place to here.
We could do that.
So we could talk about it, but I was going to say could be in person because I'm going to be in Rochester, Minnesota, doing stand-up shows at Goonies in Rochester on this upcoming Friday and Saturday. But I'll be in Chicago Thursday night, just hanging, flying in that day.
Just hanging.
Nice.
Dave, anything else we missed? Anything else? Any other notes before we go?
No, I was skimming my notes. I do think we caught everything. Yeah, no, I'm good on my side.
Jamie?
Yeah, I believe that's everything.
Musically, Wonderwall by Jake Coco, acoustic version of
nice.
Wonderwall, and I thought it was a pretty good version. It's a good song.
One of my favorite songs, yeah.
Excellent song.
Yeah, it's very solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more Christina Ochoa, more Danny.
Yeah.
Please.
Mo Ochoa, Mo Choa, Mo Danny.
Mo Danny.
And I'm glad that we are now, after a week of being a full week behind, we're now fully caught up with A Million Little Things. Thank you for your patience with us. Hopefully this upcoming week we should get out pretty much right after the episode airs. And do we know how many more episodes are in this? Like, it's half season, right? It goes on hiatus,
I
I
have no
think.
idea.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up today, actually. I have a feeling that they're going to be on a couple-week hiatus because of, like, Thanksgiving and stuff, It's weird. Like, The Good Doctor had a rerun last Monday. I was kind of expecting, like, a weird rerun week, but no, it's another new one next week. So, yeah I'll have to look that up.
Solid. Yep, I think that does it for us. Follow us at A Million Little Podcast on Instagram, at A Million Podcast on Twitter. Holler at us. It's been fun to hear from you guys. And if you don't mind, if you do like this, please give us a rating and a review, and all that stuff would be lovely.
Yay.
And that's it. Thanks for listening.
Million Little Bye.